Hi everybody, it's Lynn from Lyn's Crafts. I thought I'd come by today just to show you, I've showed these pieces on a video before, but what I want to do is show you the technique for the basis of a piece like this, which is to transfer colored pencil images onto raw polymer clay. And you can get lots and lots of different effects doing this. So excuse me, this piece actually has a wood grain pattern in the clay, besides the fact that I did a wood grain finish on her face in the drawing. So you can combine techniques. These are done with the Lisa Pavelka's it's a UV resin, magic gloss. I love this stuff. It's fantastic. But of course I don't have any sunshine today, so I won't be showing that technique today. But with that technique you can layer, like this has some polymer clay leaves and a polymer clay little swirl in her hair and different things like that. You can layer pieces. And I have done a test of the glossy accents, and it's been curing for maybe 2 days. So I'll show that in the video and give it probably a month before I decide whether it's going to react or not. I did put a sealer over the clay piece before I baked it, but this is the piece, and this is the piece I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to do a companion piece to this, which will just be a solid apple. So, and this has, like I said, it has a gloss sealer over the image, just a regular polyurethane water-based sealer, and then I put the glossy accents on top of that. So I won't say that it's as hard a finish as well, certainly not as the UV resin, because of course it's a resin, but it's not quite as hard a finish as the regular polymer urethane. Tongue-tied. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'll show you how to mix up the clay, and it's just a marbled 2-color clay mix, and I'll mash it out, and then I'll show you the technique. All you're going to need is a piece of copy paper. The thinner the better, just a cheap copy paper, and some colored pencils. And I've done this with my Prismacolors. That's what I've got out here right now, but you can also do it with the Crayola pencils. I've tried those. The rose art ones do work, but the image is much fainter. It seems like the more waxy and soft a crayon is, the better this technique works. So I'll be right back. Okay, I've just cut off 2 thin little pieces. And this is that Craft Smart clay. And I've done the same technique with the Sculpey clay, and probably with the Fimo as well, and it works just fine. So what I'm going to do is stack these on top of each other, cut them in half, stack it again. That just makes your marbling go just a little bit quicker than if you just had it 2 layers. So try to do this real time so you really can see. Now the piece I'm doing, of course, is not going to be purple and green, but this is the way it started. Try to go in a direction. See, I've already messed up there where I've folded the purple to the outside, so the green's going to get lost if I'm not careful. There we go. Now this green and purple will muddy kind of quick just because they're not complementary colors. So there we go. I think I'll pick it right there. It's not bad. So after you get it marbled, just roll it in a ball in your hand like you would do with Play-Doh when you were a kid. So since I'm only one-handed. Excuse me. It was literally 84 degrees yesterday. It's 47 degrees today. So welcome to Texas. There we go. That's good. And what I would probably do, since this is a pretty good size, I'd cut it in half and make two different charms out of it. So here is my piece, my companion piece to that. As you can see, when you cut it in half, it really looks cool, and you can get it really neat techniques with this side also. But today I'm working with this side. So let me get one of my mirror tiles, my baking tiles. And I wish I had some that weren't mirrors just for when I'm on camera. Got an eyelash. Okay, got rid of the eyelash. Didn't want that in there necessarily. Alright, and I'm going to flatten it out like I did on the other one. Make a little disc. And see how flat it is. And I'm going to have to pause. Oh, look, I got lucky. It never wants to come off from me. Okie dokie. Alright, now I will come back in just a second. Probably on the tripod. Okay, we're going to try this. Move my camera up a bit so I don't knock it off the table. Now, I've got two reds, two greens, a brown, and a white. When you're doing this transfer technique, you're going to want to do your darkest colors on the back, because when you turn this over on your clay to transfer it, it's literally going to transfer the colors of your pencil right onto the clay. So I'm going to start with my darkest red, and I've sketched me off a little box so that I don't get my drawing too big. But this is going to be hard for me because I can't draw watching through the camera. So. Now, just like when you were a kid, when you were coloring, sorry I was so quiet there for a second, you don't want your crayon, colored pencil, you don't want it to look like that, how it's all not solid. So I'm going to continue on and pressing a little harder and try to get this solid filled in. Now, of course, you won't be able to get it solid filled in probably, just because it's just copy paper. But the more saturated your colored pencil is, the better your transfer is going to be. Alright, I got that pretty good. Now I'm going to go in with the little lighter color, which you won't really be able to see, but alright. Now I'm also going with some white. Put a little highlight, and also remember, anything you do like this is going to be reversed when you transfer it. So then I'm on a little stem, something like that. Now that I said do the darker first, I'm gonna backtrack on that on the leaf, but only because I'm only making the veining lines with the darker color. So there we go. It's just a simple apple, because of course the point is to show you the technique, not my drawing. Alright, and then I'm going to clip this out, and I'm going to leave myself a little place to hold on to it. If you see what I'm saying. A little spot to hold on down here. Now I'm going to try, because I've already done my hole, to fit this on here. And nope, can't give you any hints on whether you're getting it centered, or because no, I'm not the world's greatest at that part. Okay, then burnish it down just a little bit. And here's the part that I'm not going to be able to help you with because I don't know what you have in your supplies, but I'm going to use the back end, so to speak, of my craft knife, and I'm going to kind of burnish it a little bit. You could probably use your thumbnail. You're just trying to burnish it down, make good contact without distorting your clay very much. Alright, after you get it good and burnished down, move my acrylic block. I'm going to take my heat gun. Now I'm not trying to cure the clay, so I don't really want to get it too hot at one time. I want to keep it moving, and as you can see, you're starting to be able to see just a little bit through the paper. The clay is leaching some of its plasticizer into the paper, and you can see just slightly through the paper and onto your apple. That's when it's starting to get really good contact, and the waxes from the crayon are starting to melt. Now while that's still good and hot, I'm going to burnish it again. And I say hot, it's not too hot to do with your thumbnail still. Now what I usually do is I'll hold down one edge so that if I need to stick it back down, yeah, I need to stick it back down just for a little bit. With this bottom edge just a little bit more. Well, still didn't transfer near as well as the first one did, but that's what you get sometimes. It's kind of random. And of course, when I bake pieces like this, I will go back after it's baked and redraw some of the pencil on there. I'm not exactly sure. I can see it on the transfer directly through the middle where it didn't pull the pencil off at all. And of course that seems to be where there was a bit more of that white clay in there, so that's rather odd. I wonder what the chances are I could line that back up. Let's see. Just for the, and grins of it. Well, let's turn it this way. Close enough. Whoa! Not close at all. One more time. Hey, if you don't see other people mess it up, how will you know? And of course now my clay wants to start to smush. Okay, we're going to call this a waste. There we go. That's a little better. Still got some dark spots and some weird light spots, but I'll fix that after I bake it. Alright. Looking good so far. I will bake this 15 minutes. I usually do a little longer, of course, if my oven is not already preheated. I usually do it about 30. And leave it in the oven to cool. That helps ensure that it's really cured all the way through. So, let's see. Yeah, those will be good together. A couple of charms for an upcoming project. So, I'll bake this, and then I'll come back and show you the last little bit. Now, while that's baking, I thought I'd just come back and show you. What I did while the camera was off is I went back and I recolored the apple to saturate the pencil just a little bit more. As you can see, this is more what it should have looked like when I peeled it off. It should have taken most of the pencil off there and just left the light sketch of what you did behind. So as you can see, it left a lot more of the ink. And another tip I can give you is don't do your drawing and then wait till tomorrow to transfer it, because the longer that your drawing sits on the paper, the more of the wax leaches into the paper and won't transfer onto your clay as brightly. So, but like I said, after it dries and cools, after it bakes and cools, then I can go back and sketch up some of the missing bits, fix it up a little bit. But of course, I didn't have that trouble, and that may have a little bit to do with the weather being so cold today, so it might transfer a little bit better on a warmer day, because of course I don't have heat in my studio. I have a little space heater, but I will have air when it gets hot, thank goodness. So, but that's how I did each of these, and I've gone back and done the eye in some instances with paint, in some instances with just pencil, but to bring that pop of color, like this one I just did with the pencil, but I did go back afterwards and re-detail her eye and stuff like that. And many of them, like this one, she has dots of pearlescent paint for her earrings that are underneath the resin, and this resin of course has a little bit of glitter in it. And same thing with this one, she's got like a couple of dots here on her forehead that are done with paint underneath the paint, and she actually has, I don't know how close I can get, the flecks in her eyes are actually little copper pearlescent paint dots. So there's lots of things you can do with this technique to transfer colored pencil directly onto the clay. Even if you wanted just to do a sketch to copy, so to speak, after you've baked the clay. But you can do the transfer and then manipulate the clay if you were doing some other sort of drawing. Nothing comes to mind, but that you might want to stretch out the image after you did it or manipulate it slightly. So, fun technique. I'll come back, like I said, after it's baked, just to glaze it and put the glossy accents on. I wish it was a brighter day and I'd do that magic gloss, because it really, really is a fantastic product to work with, polymer clay. Come on, baby, come on. It's very dimensional, as you can see the thickness there, so that it allows you to put objects embedded in it. It is very much like a regular two-part resin, but it's just a single product. So it makes it very easy to use. There's no mixing involved, no two containers, no waiting, no And here in the Texas sun, it literally cures in a maximum of 10 minutes. Most days here, it's 5 minutes. So, but you can get a UV lamp and do it that way, but of course I don't have one, and most days here it's not necessary. I've even done this in the wintertime as long as the temperature is warm enough and there's plenty of sun. It does take just a little bit longer, but nothing like overnight if you use a regular resin, and some of them take even longer than that. So this one, as you can see, has pieces of polymer clay. There's a flower up here. There's some liquid polymer clay swirls, and this is a water release decal, you know, a kid's removable tattoo from the dollar store. So, great technique. I need to do more of these. You know how it is when you get too many ideas in your head, sometimes it gives you a little mojo block. Not that I have that, I just have a little bit of trouble deciding what type of project to do on any given day. Do I work with polymer clay today? Do I do an altered project? So most days there's enough time in the day to work on more than one project at a time, which I'm famous for. So if I don't have 6 going on, I'm not happy. So we'll see. I got like 15 minutes left, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll be right back. Okay, here it is out of the oven, and I have touched it up just the least little bit. But as you can see, those corners are still dark, but it's because the clay is darker behind it. You can see a little better. So what I'm going to do is I've got one of my smaller paint brushes and just the lid of my acrylic paint in white. And I'm going to do just a couple of practices right here on the glass. See what, oh goodness, there we go. I'm going to do a little highlight here on my apple. Like that. So that's done with that, and when that dries, I'll put I'll put a clear polyurethane sealer on it, and this one, it happens to be a gloss sealer, and no, that's not what's in there. This Studio by Sculpey is a brand that they discontinued for some reason, and it was a fantastic product, unlike the Sculpey glaze, which if anybody has ever used is worthless. It's a sticky, gooey, yucky mess. It doesn't ever seem to dry hard. Dust sticks to it. It yellows. It's just not a good product. I don't know why they keep selling it. Anyway, I just used a Rust-Oleum water cleanup polyurethane from the hardware store. So I'm going to put a coat of that on it and let it dry after my white dots dry there. Alright, here we go. It's been 24 hours. This was the original piece I did, and it didn't turn out too bad. So far, the glossy accents seems to be pretty hard with the layer of polyurethane underneath. So that may be a solution right there, to put the polyurethane underneath the glossy accents. Just a thin layer of sealer, and then put the glossy accents on. But in saying that, here is the piece that I just finished. Now, since the piece didn't transfer very well, I had to go back and fill in some of the spots with my colored pencil, and then put the layer of polyurethane on top. And as you can see, the color bled out something terrible. even my white dots, you can see the red has come up through the white paint even. And that happened when I put the glossy accents on. It was actually so bad that if I tilted the piece while it was wet, the color would literally run out into the glossy accents. And that's with a layer of sealer between it. So it's pulling it up through that sealer to the glossy accents. It's very, very strange to me. So, putting it over a colored pencil transfer may not be the best idea. So there's a lesson learned on that. And the original pieces that I did in my experiment with the triple thick, they seemed to harden the first couple of days, and it was after a week or so. I let the experiment sit for a month before I made a decision whether I liked it or not. And the longer it set, the more it seemed to break down the clay. So maybe with this layer of sealer between it, it won't do that, but these are going to sit for a while to find out. So, not such a good turnout on this piece. But while this was sitting, last night drying, I did this one. It doesn't have any kind of finish or anything on it yet. It's just the transfer. And it did okay. But I'll show you the drawing. As you can see, you can do a drawing that, even a drawing that you don't like, because a lot of times when I'm just sketching, and I'm sure a lot of people have the same issue, it's difficult to get the two halves of the face exactly like you want them. You may think one half is gorgeous and the other half is just okay. Well, doing this technique, as you can see, you only have to use the part of the face that you want. I just did one side on that one. I just did a small section of her face on this one. Again, just did the side of the face on this one. So there's a lot of options of just using part of your sketch. So there's that. And I don't know how my clay got a little discoloration there in the middle. And I don't know what that's from. Maybe my acrylic block had a spot on it when I smashed it flat, maybe. I'm not really sure. Or I may just be seeing it on the camera, because when I look at it off the camera, I can't see it like that. So, but anyway, there's my assessment, my review of the glossy accents so far. Not so good over the colored pencil. So I'll have to try a piece where I do a picture inset. I made these yesterday, just some polymer clay molds, and they're made out of these frames that I got them at a yard sale one time in a bag, like 6 different ones, and they're just like some cheaper pot metal or something, I guess. But I thought they'd be really pretty with a polymer clay stone in the middle, just to use that as a frame, because I'm really not even sure you could stick a picture in there, I guess. But I guess they were just supposed to be, decorative frames. So, anyway, I made some molds of those, and I'm going to try those. See what I can come up with. Here's one I've got ready to go in the oven. And then I can fill that with a picture and some glossy accents or crackle accents or something. See what we can come up with there. And then here's another one. This one I'll probably put a stone in. Paint the frame and put a stone. So there's just a quick tutorial on doing a transfer on raw clay with colored pencil, and my startup review of the glossy accents with clay. And these have polyurethane underneath the glossy accents. So So far, so good. I'll get back with you on that. Alright, that's it for today, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye now.